I was very relaxed when I was coming for this interaction. It's a kids interaction. We are going, we'll have fun, we'll talk about space. But ma'am took me to the play school in the morning. And when interacting with these, second graders and third graders, they asked me about 5 to 6 questions. The first question was by a student in class 2. When we are going for a moon mission, we have a trans-lunar injection, and in that we have a transfer window. So how do you calculate the burn that is required for you to go to moon? This is a kid who is 8 years old. Frankly, I am a bit scared now. You are much older, and I'm standing in front of you. I don't know what kind of questions you're going to throw at me. But I'm very happy and proud that this is the level in which kids are going and researching things. Extremely happy to be here. So I think we will take some time to figure out how to get the presentation on screen. Apparently, space travel is sorted out. Microsoft PowerPoint is still something that we need to figure out. It still remains a challenge. Anyways, I will start with the story, what I want to talk to you about today. My mission, which started actually last year in August, culminated in me traveling to the International Space Station and coming back, splashing down west of San Diego, was a precursor to what India is trying to do right now. We are actively working on Mission Gaganyaan, of which I am a part of. And Mission Gaganyaan is something in which we will launch an Indian to space and get them back safely. We want to prove that we can do this. We can have this technology within the country. So it will be an Indian rocket, an Indian capsule, launched from an Indian soil, with an Indian on board, going to space and coming back. And it is going to be monumental because only 3 countries have done this before. Alongside that, we are also working on our own space station, the Bharatiya Antariksh Station. Now, when that goes up in space, it will be a constantly orbiting laboratory, which will be used for conducting science, progressing science across the globe. We will have internationally people coming over and doing science. And it will be a lot like an international space station only when it goes up. And as a follow-on mission to that, we also have a mission to the moon, the question that I was asked in the morning. So we are planning for going to the moon, and by 2040, hopefully, we will have, maybe one amongst you setting foot on the moon for the first time. So let me give a bit of a historical perspective why human missions or human space missions are challenging. It is not a small change from a satellite mission. When we launch a satellite, you have 0 test missions before launching a satellite. But for mission Gaganyaan, we have 15 test missions that we have to launch before we can send a human to space. That is the difference, because you have a human life on board and you want to protect it at all costs. The risks, the stakes are much higher. And that is what makes it challenging. 12th April 1961 was the first time when any human from Earth was launched into space. It was Yuri Gagarin from the erstwhile Soviet Union. And at that time, what technology was available was very different as compared to what it is today. So whenever we are able to get this presentation online, I would like to show you why is it that the human space missions are challenging. They are difficult. They need a lot of hard work, they need a lot of preparation, they need a lot of courage to be executed. And I want all of you to understand that. We see today when we are interacting, you are seeing me, I have gone to this space and I have come back for 20 days. But these 20 days have taken me 6 years to achieve. It takes a lot of work. The mundane is not visible. You have to dedicate your time and resource to get here and to do this. And the entire journey was exciting, don't get me wrong. It was fun all the way because you're learning new things, you're exploring new things. Having come back, when I went for this mission, everything was new. You kind of prepare for this, But the environment, since it is different, you are familiar, but it feels different. And it is a lot of fun as well. Being in space, it is like kind of swimming in air. So all of you are sitting on chairs right now on these, on this ground. But if this entire scenario was to be done in space, all of you would have been flying all around this hall. Somebody would be hanging from the ceiling or sitting on the wall or, floating around. It would have been very exciting to talk to you then. But it is also very hard and challenging for your body because it has never seen this environment. Your body is actually adapting to this new environment and going through these challenges. Your blood, it pools up in your head, it becomes much bigger. Your heart slows down. You don't feel very well. You have space fog, you become slow. So all these are challenges that your body has to go through to get used to or to get accustomed to this new environment that you have. Let me take a break for a minute, and if the presentation is not coming online, we will continue to talk. Just a second. Let me tell you an anecdote from my flight. When I went for the mission, I have been a fighter pilot most of my life. So I thought that, yeah, I know this feeling, when engines light up beneath you, when you get that sudden force, acceleration. I thought that I know this very well, and this is what it will feel like. But when the 9 engines on the Falcon 9 rocket ignited, I can tell you everything I knew just flew right out of the window. It was such a powerful experience. It was almost like, the same feeling that you get when you see your question papers in exam. All the preparation that you have, it just flies out of the window. It was almost exactly like that. And from that moment onwards, till the time you come back, everything is new. You know each and everything because you've trained for it, but the environment has changed. And we had with ourselves my commander, Dr. Peggy Whitson from the United States, who is the most experienced American astronaut. She has spent around 695 days in space already, which is a lot. We actually used to joke that she breaks the record of some of the satellites which have been launched in space. So when we got into space, we were very excited, just like you, like kids. We wanted to, go around, do backflips, do somersault, and go to the window, come up, go up, come down, everything. We wanted to try everything. And she told us several times, take it slow. Don't move too fast. Don't move your head too fast because you will not feel good. Many times she told us. But who listens in this situation? Nobody cares. So we were still going ahead and doing everything that we wanted to do. And within 10 minutes, all three of us, me and my two other counterparts from Poland and Hungary, all of us were sitting with our head in our hands, with a headache, with the space fog, exactly what she had told us. So my advice, when adults tell you to do something, please listen. Most of the times it is for your own good, even though it may stop you from having fun. Okay, so I am being told that it will take another 5 minutes for this to be resolved. So I would not share this. I would like to show you the presentation. So why not? Let's do something. Let me answer some of the questions that you have in the meantime. So if you have, please shoot, and I would love to answer the questions, and then we will start the presentation.
Good morning, sir. So I am Ashmit of Dalai. Sir, for a recent school exhibition, I prepared a satellite constellation concept called CRISISAT, focused at helping farmers using remote sensing data. Sir, my question to you is, what do you think is more important for future India? Remote sensing satellites and space infrastructure dedicated to India's development, or a dedicated fleet of launch rockets to launch India's future? Which one do you think is more important?
What's the second thing? Dedicated fleet of?
Launch rockets.
So to have a constellation of satellites, you will need launch rockets. for them to be deployed. So I think it is, you will have to develop both to have this ecosystem. But the idea is great, and I think a lot of work is already happening to have a sort of constellation which can give you regular data to better understand of what is happening on ground and better plan agriculture in our country. So I think it is already in progress, but I think you will need both, not just one. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So can I ask a bit of a personal question related to me?
Yeah, please.
So what skills do you think that a person needs to work in ISRO as a rocket scientist?
I don't think you need any specific skills to work anywhere in the world. I think the single most important skill that you need is discipline. That is the only thing that you need wherever you are. It doesn't matter.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Dhriti Ratha. My question is to you, sir. As many students are passionate about space science and want to build a career on that, what are the steps we can take right now to build a strong foundation for a career in space science?
That's a great question. Thank you. Uh, I think as a country, we are on a path wherein we will need a lot of space scientists and space researchers in the future. And what you need to do is develop a curious mind, and develop the problem solving skills. Because essentially, when you talk about space exploration, you are talking about solving problems that you don't even know what the problems are. So the critical skill that is required is a problem solving skill. Doesn't matter what the problem is. How do you approach the problem? How do you get from point A to point C, figuring out the steps in between? That is the single most important skill that you would need. And of course, a solid foundation in the basic subjects of, the STEM subjects that is required. That would be required. Thank you.
So I wanted to ask you, like, as I want to be an astrophysicist and an astronaut when I grow up, so I wanted to ask you that when we go to space, due to the microgravity, our vestibular system in our mind stops or confused. So how do you maintain spatial orientation in space?
You don't actually. In the initial few days, you don't maintain spatial orientation. You are lost. You don't understand what is up, what is down. You are confused. And the body gradually gets used to this new environment and understands what is up and down. So in the space station, there are visual markings, either it is numbering or color coding, which tells you this is up, this is down, this is left, this is right, because your body doesn't really feel it. So your vestibular system does get compromised, but over 4 5 days, your body understands that this is the new normal, and you start finding that okay. Thank you.
Good morning, sir. Myself, Meenakshi. I have one question for you. What was the challenging part of adjusting life in microgravity?
Lot of parts actually everything was challenging in the initial few days. Your body is not really used to that environment, and you have headaches, you become slow, your head becomes swollen, you have congestion, you don't feel hungry, you have backache. All these things happen in the first few days when you go to space. But again, your body understands, and within 5 to 6 days you get adapted to this new environment, and then it becomes all right. It becomes everything is okay.
Thank you, sir. One more question. How do you sleep in gravity?
You actually sleep in air in gravity.
Thank
There
you,
is no
sir.
bed. You have a sleeping bag, you go inside the sleeping bag, and then you can choose to sleep on the floor, on the ceiling, on the wall, wherever you want.
Sir, can we build a mega structure like a orbital rings or a Dyson swarm?
Sorry.
Can we make mega structures like a Dyson swarm or orbital rings?
I think Sai International is feeding something else to these kids somewhere.
A Dyson swarm is used to harness the
I
energy
know,
for
I know what a
neutron
Dyson sphere is. I'm just saying that I was not expecting it from you. Yes, I think we can, but we are not at the stage yet. The closest thing that we have is the Starlink constellation, which has about 7,000, 8,000 satellites around the Earth. But if we have to build a Dyson sphere, it will be of a much larger dimension.
Sir, and what about orbital rings?
They are all in theoretical concepts right now. Nothing has been demonstrated yet. Uh, I think as we move forward with these space stations, all these concepts will be explored. So maybe you will, when you grow up, will probably get us an orbital ring sometime in the future.
And what about terraforming an entire planet?
Sorry?
What about terraforming an entire planet?
I'm not able to make out.
What about terraforming an entire planet like
Terraforming,
Mars?
yeah. Again, it's a theoretical concept, and I'm sure you have heard of the concepts of terraforming Mars to make it livable, of
With
changing the entire
lasers?
things. Yes, lasers, nuclear explosions, whatever. But these are all theoretical concepts. We don't know what the impact are going to be if we try to terraform a planet. Okay, I have my presentation back up. Can we go ahead? Can we go through this and thereafter take on the questions? Okay. Okay, let me skip over a few slides because I've already talked about some of them. Okay, let's start from my mission itself. So as I told you, when I was launching, I felt I knew everything. I understand everything. But it was not so. When the ignition happens, the force is so powerful that your body has never seen it. It has never experienced that. And that is from my background. I have seen some of these forces during my flying. You are going from 0 kilometers per hour to 28,500 kilometers per hour in 8.5 minutes. That is a huge acceleration and a sustained acceleration for a long time. And your body feels it. So right now, when all of you are sitting on the chairs, you are also feeling acceleration, gravity, 1g, 9.8 meters per second square. But when you increase this, your body experiences that force. And if that force is from your head to toe, which happens in fighter plane, then all your blood, it goes down from your head and it tries to go down. And if you continue, you would black out, and if you persist, you may also become unconscious. It happens sometimes in flying. When you get too excited and you pull too much of G's, you become unconscious, and then again after some time you wake up and you start flying. But in the space capsule, you are lying on your back, so you experience G through your chest, in which case your lungs get compressed and you cannot breathe. So you have to breathe through your stomach. And that is a very different type of force that is there on your body. Why? Because in case of a space mission, if you abort at a high altitude, your body will experience somewhere around 18 to 20 Gs. That is the kind of force it will experience. So if you were to experience that force from head to toe, your spine will break. It will not be able to sustain. That is why you have to lie down. And I will show you how difficult or challenging it is in both the axes. Okay, I think we have again hit a roadblock somewhere. We will continue with the question answer session. I want to show you these videos because there is no point me talking to you and not being able to show the experience that I have had. So can we please continue with the Q&A until the time they figure out?
4GX. GX, 6GX, 7GX, 8GX. Which will maintain for 30 seconds, sir.
You saw how my face changed? It went back. Now look at this other one.
Star Trek. Missile stick is live. Go for it now. 1, 2, 3, breathe. 1, 2, 3, breathe. 1, 2, 3, breathe. 1, 2, 3, breathe. 1, 2, strain hard, breathe. Maintain, maintain, very good, breathe. 1, 2, 3, breathe. 1, 2, 3, breathe. 1, 2, 3, offload, 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 continuous training, offload, offload,
So which one do you think was more difficult? Second one? What was the G in the first one? What was the G in the second one? Any guess? Okay, let me tell you. First one was 8 Gs. What was the second one? Second one was lesser than the first. It was 7 Gs. That is the difference that is there in the axis. The second one was from your head to toe and the first one was through your chest. So it is very difficult. That is why in the space capsule you experience G from your chest. So now after all this you get to space, and I've told you space is super fun. It is extremely exciting but very disorienting. When you get to space, you know, utilization of the space itself, the concept of space, it changes. I remember during my first few days, if there is a module, let's say a cylinder which is there, and if there was an NASA astronaut who was working on one of the experiments right in the center of the module, and I had to cross past. So while she was working, I stopped and I sat down. Not sat down, I kept floating, you know, on one side. I didn't cross because I didn't think that I can cross. Then the other NASA astronaut, she flew to me and asked me, "What are you doing, Shuks?" I said, "I want to go over the other side." And she asked me, "Then why don't you go?" And I showed her that she is standing in the way. So this other one, she started laughing. She took me by my hand and took me to the ceiling and said, "Walk here." And I started walking on the ceiling after that, you know, floating on the ceiling. So the way you understand space, the concept, it changes completely when you are up there. And it takes some time for your mind to register this. The other important thing that happens is the concept of microgravity itself. I'm sure with the kind of questions that you have been asking, you know that in space it is not that gravity is not present, it is there. But it is because you are in a free fall that you don't experience gravity. So you're always falling. So if I'm falling all the time and I'm holding something and I let it go, it will stay there, it will not fall. Like if I was to hold this mic and leave it be, it will stay here. But your mind doesn't understand that. So you don't want to let go of things. So if I was to leave it, it would, stay there, but your mind doesn't want to believe it. So what happened in the initial few days was that if I had to leave something, I would ask my crewmates, "Can you please hold it for me?" And you know, they were also first time travelers, so they would also hold it and stand there right next to me. And all of us are floating together. Nothing is going to fall, but they would also stand, float there. Look at this video, you know, this is a demonstration of how things float in space and how they don't fall. कुछ चीजें माइक्रोग्रेविटी में बहुत आसान होती हैं, जैसे कि लेंस चेंज करना. चलिए देखते हैं. आप किसी भी चीज को निकाल के ऐसे ही छोड़ सकते हैं. So how many of you felt when I was leaving that it will fall? So after a few days, about 7 to 8 days, you become really used to this concept. You understand that you can leave things, it is okay, and then you can come back to it. The problem is you get used to this concept and you come back to Earth. The things don't float on Earth. So I remember when I came back, the first night I was working on something on my laptop, replying to emails, and instinctively I closed my laptop, took it to the side and left it. A very, very quick course correction, you know, instant feedback that this will not work here. But the important aspect is that your mind is really a very powerful tool. It can make you believe things that are not necessarily true. And that is what happens. So again, it takes a few days for your mind to realize that you're back in gravity. You have to adjust to this concept here. The other concept which is very interesting is the concept of weightlessness. You know, there is no weight in microgravity. And because of this, space station was built, because heavy equipment was transferred later on, and you can lift a lot of heavy equipment in space. But you have to be careful of the momentum, the mass. Mass is there, but there is no weight. So look at this video. This is my commander, Peggy Whitson. She is trying to push a big bag. This is a huge bag, and this is used to transport heavy equipment or cargo or payload drags inside the station. Look how careful she has to be. She is lifting it like it is nothing, but when it moves, it will move, and she has to be really careful.
Good amount of mass.
Okay.
move this bag.
The bag is almost her size, even
Possible
bigger than her
very
size.
large bags. You have to be very careful though, because you have to control the mass. So you don't move it too fast, because it can get away from you. What is it that we have in this bag?
I'll let you guess what's inside this heavy bag.
Oh, wow. The whole
Look at that. That's about 250 kgs of weight in that bag. But how easy it becomes to move it, but you have to be really careful. And this was how the astronauts could install the payload racks, the equipment, the heavy cargo that went later on in place and make the station what it is. Science becomes extremely fun in space. I'm sure you all have read Newton's second law, right? Let's see how it is demonstrated in space. It is, if you move something, it would continue to move. The kind of force that you apply to something is dependent on what kind of acceleration it will get. And so we will see it demonstrated live on space station, when astronauts decide to have some fun, how do they do things which also teaches you some science. Look at this video. This is how we play in space station when we don't have a ball.
easy. All right.
Are you ready?
Yes, I am ready.
Okay.
Wow, that was a big one. That was a big one.
Isn't it fun? Now, I have talked about this a bit, when we were trying to figure out the presentation. But your body undergoes a lot of physiological changes. We have already talked about it. One thing that we have not talked about is that when you are floating in space, everything inside your stomach is also floating. So it feels full. You don't feel hungry. So I remember for first 3 or 4 days, I really did not feel like eating. I had to force feed myself. Maximum about 800 or 1000 calories I was eating. And the second thing is, you also become taller when you go to space. I see kids are very excited to hear this, that you become taller when you get to space. The problem is, when you come back to Earth, you come back to your same height. So it's not a lasting change. The only thing that you gain is you get back pain twice. Even when you're sitting on these chairs and you walk or you sit on the ground, you are using your muscles because you are under gravity. There is a load. We don't realize it because we get used to it. All the people who are standing, all the people who are sitting, all of you are exercising your muscles. But in space, there is no load. There is no exercising. So the muscles, they degenerate, they degrade very fast. In my 20 days of stay, I lost about 5 kgs of weight, out of which 4.2 was muscle mass. That is how quickly you lose muscle because you're not using it. Then there are psychological challenges. You are in a tin can, essentially, and you understand what are the risks that are outside, how challenging it is. It is a confined space. There is some alarm going on all the time. Most of the time it is not serious, but nevertheless, the threat or the risk is real. And all these problems have to be solved for long duration missions. When you're talking about terraforming and going to Mars, these are long duration missions, 6 months, one-way travel. Huge. So how do we solve these problems? How do we go forward? And then the environment also provides you a very unique perspective of conducting science in space. Since the environment is different, the biological processes become faster. The water, when you drop water, it becomes a bubble, it becomes a ball, it doesn't drop. Flame, when you burn a flame, it is not a traditional flame that you see on ground. Fire burns like a ball in space. It is also a ball. So these different insights that you get by being in microgravity, it allows you to explore scientific phenomena in a very different light, which gives you very different and unique results. So I also took with me 7 Indian experiments. The first one was on myogenesis, the stem cell research. How do we prevent muscle degeneration, or how do we enhance injury repair in body? And essentially, the scientists wanted to introduce two different supplements to see if they can aid in muscle repair quickly. If you look on the image on the right, I'm hanging on a side wall and performing this experiment. And this is called a glove box. And once your hands are inside the glove box, you are trapped. You have to be there till the time you finish your experiment. So at a stretch, this would be sometimes around 4 hours that you are in this position and you are doing this experiment. And then you come out of this glove box. And the problem is, when you are in one position, you are breathing carbon dioxide. So it continues to pool around your head because there is no natural ventilation in space. So you have to put a fan next to it. So these are the small things that you pick up when you do this mission, that you learn when we are going to make our own space station. How do we take care of such things? We also grew cyanobacteria in space as a possible source of nutrition for future astronauts when they go for long duration missions. And I also took with me some Indian seeds to see what are the effect of microgravity. As we speak, as I talk to you today, these seeds have already been planted and they will be studied for next 5 generations to see what are the different effects that they show, even during evolution, of what effect has microgravity got on these pulses or the cereals that I carried with me. I also took with me microalgae. Again, with the same intent like cyanobacteria. Microalgae are also a very good source of nutrition and they take very less space to be grown. So I grew them in space for 18 days. At the same time, they were being grown on ground by scientists here. We are yet to see the results. The initial results are out, but the scientists are going to publish these very soon. And if they are found viable, they can really be a possible source of addressing food security, not just in space, but on ground as well. And then I also took sprouts, which is moong dal and methi, which is, sprouts have been grown in space earlier as well, but not these ones. And this is what happens when you fly to space. So methi is known to have advantages for bone health, something that degrades really fast when you are in space. Now, how many of you know about tardigrades? Okay, quite a few hands. Not surprising here, actually. So tardigrades are known to be extremophiles. They survive in extreme conditions, extreme temperatures, extreme vacuum, extreme radiation. And we wanted to study of how well they survive in this environment, and can we use the mechanism that these tardigrades use to protect the human body in future in these harsh environments. So it was with that intent this study was carried out by researchers from IISc. And lastly, we also evaluated the screens. How does an astronaut interact with screens in microgravity, and devising new ways of developing these new screens which reduce this cognitive load on the astronaut while he is interacting with these screens. Other than this, I was also a part of 3 international experiments of science. The most interesting among this was the brain-machine interface, which was done for the first time in space. And you had to wear this cap and then perform some math sitting in the space station. And by doing that, you activate different parts of your brain, different hemispheres. And they used to measure the optical density of your veins and identify which part is active. And thereafter, future, it will be used to control commands as well. So all in all, it was a very heavily packed duration that we had, 18 days in space. I used to have 12 to 13 hour work days every day. And all my time, I also used to follow a timetable when I was in space, like how you do. My time was divided in chunks of 5 minutes. Every 5 minutes is accounted for when you are there. And it was extremely busy. But once we finished that, it was time to come back. And when you are coming back, all that energy that you have gained while you're going up has to be dissipated. And how do you dissipate that? You use atmosphere to dissipate that energy. And when you use atmosphere and friction, what happens is you generate heat in excess of 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit. It becomes a huge fireball around your capsule. I was very excited to look, to see how it looks. How does this fire look? So when we were coming back, you start seeing flames. and they, initially orange, then they turn red, then violet, purple, all shades you see, and then it completely gets covered in the plasma. You also experience the same level of G forces that you experience when you go up. But the difference is this time it feels much heavier because your body is not used to that 1G condition. It was in microgravity. I remember when I was opening my eyes, my eyelids were feeling heavy. Even 0.3, 0.4 G, it feels extremely heavy. And all that happens, thereafter you come back into the atmosphere and you splash down in the water. Now, when you splash down, if everything goes well, it is good. But if it doesn't, then the crew is supposed to get out of the capsule quickly. There was one particular scenario that we trained during our sessions, practice emergencies. That was, in case there is a leak in the capsule, then under 3 minutes, all the 4 astronauts have to throw the life raft outside, put on the safety vest, take the satellite phone, throw it outside, and get out of the capsule within 3 minutes. And we were able to do it between 2 and 2.5 minutes. But that was when we were feeling extremely well, extremely fine. What happens when you come back from space is you're not feeling good. You cannot walk. It doesn't matter how much strength you have. You really can't walk because your mind doesn't know or doesn't remember how to walk, how much effort it takes to stop you from falling. Look at this video. So this is me 2 hours after this splashdown. Just after this splashdown, I wasn't even able to do this. There were people who had to lift me up. And in that situation, to expect somebody to get out of the capsule under 3 minutes by throwing life raft and everything, it is actually too far-fetched. This was a lesson learned in the hindsight. But this is what the change of environment does to you. Now, why is it important for all of you to know this? I have talked about my mission in particular, but generally, I can see all of you are very excited already about space, the kind of questions that you are asking. But I've already highlighted this, that India is on its own journey of conducting human spaceflight missions. And these are extremely complex missions. We have said that we will land someone on moon in 2040. But how will that happen? You have to make it happen. You have to be a part of it. So I would urge all of you to be curious and be excited about space going forward from this time. We want to see an Indian landing on the moon. It can be one amongst you. But you will be in competition with me when you grow up, because I am not going anywhere. I am going to be there with you, and we have to together make it happen. When we enable this, entire ecosystem of human space missions, what we are essentially looking at is enabling the triad, the education, the industry, and the R&D. All of them will get uplifted together, and it starts here at schools. And I can say I'm very happy to have been seeing the response that I've been getting since morning, the kind of questions that have been posed at me, that in some way it is already happening here. All we need to do is spread it all over the country so that more number of kids can get to be a part of this. Some 5 or 6 years back, India had private sector startups in the space sector in double digits, less than 100. Today, there are more than 300 startups which are actively working in the field of space. Actually, after I finish my event today, I am flying to Hyderabad to inaugurate a rocket from a company called Skyroot. These are all private sector startups. There are companies called Pixel, there are companies called SatSure. All of them are doing different activities in the domain of space. But the point I want to highlight is all of this is booming. It is, growing at a very rapid rate. So where do you fit in? I was asked a question yesterday. I was at an event by a student. Not everybody will get to become an astronaut. So what is in it for me? What do I do? And I said, yes, that is true. Not everybody will get to become an astronaut. But even when you try to do that, I've listed some of the options. You've seen me going to space and coming back. But to send me to space, there is a team of more than thousands that is required to send me to space. It takes an entire ecosystem to launch one person to space. And all of them are very exciting. All of them are extremely interesting and fun to work in these disciplines. Some of them I have written. You can be a medical practitioner practicing space medicine. You could be an astronaut through pilot, engineer, researcher. You could be a nutritionist. You could be a designer. You could be a, a space physical educator. That is also a domain that is coming up. So it is not that, only the chance of you being part of space exploration in the future is only by being astronauts. It is not so. You can choose any profession and you will still get to be a part of this. And all of this aligns with the goal of, Viksit Bharat 2047. You are the people who are going to be there at that point of time. So my call to you is this. Don't assume that it is someone else's job. Assume that it is your job. It is my job. I have to take India from here to Viksit Bharat 2047, or I have to make it happen that I have to land someone on moon in 2040. When you start thinking like that, everything will change rapidly. We are going to reach there much faster than what we are planning right now. So assume responsibility, have accountability on yourself. There is one thing that I have not spoken about in this entire talk, which is the last thing, before I finish. And that is, how does India look from space? Unfortunately, I don't think the lighting is really very conducive for this video to be seen. But in 1984, Wing Commander Rakesh Sharma had traveled to space and he said that India looks sare jahan se acha. And I can totally second that. Not just me, I think everybody who flies to space will second that. You will see that in this video in a short while. This faint green glow that you are seeing, this is the curvature of the earth. And I don't think it will be too visible. I'll still go ahead and play it. Let us see if you can figure out where India is. We will see cities like Bangalore, Hyderabad and Pune, bright lit cities we will see. And then you will also see flashes on ground, which are essentially thunderstorms or lightning that is happening. And in the end, you will see an orbital sunrise. How does sunrise look from space? So let us see this video. Yeah, it will be difficult to make out. But you can see the flashes, right? Yeah, this is where it comes. This is India and this is the Bangalore city. That is Hyderabad. And this is the sunrise. Looks great, doesn't it? So do you want to see it from space? So are you excited to go to space? Then we will work for it, and I will end my presentation by saying what I said from orbit when I was there. Sky was never the limit, not for me, not for you, and not for Bharat. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. Okay, so I have been told that we have some time. So if you have any more questions, let's go ahead. We'll answer the questions and then finish that.
Good morning. Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. Myself, Gitanjali Samal. My question to you is, can you explain the fabric that is used in the spacecraft? How is that different from the fabric that we use in Earth?
Fabric.
Yes, that cloths that were made of, that you wear in the
Yes.
spacecraft.
So there are requirements in terms of flammability. It has to have a percentage of cotton which is there. Nothing less will be allowed, because the concerns are there that as much as possible we should reduce the hazard of flammability concerns in the space station. So the clothes are chosen accordingly. All the other fabric as well are chosen accordingly. Then all the other material that is used is also explored for off-gassing. There is something called off-gassing that over a period of time, the material exudes gases. So that has to be within a certain limit. So all these are restrictions that are imposed, and they have to be qualified before they are sent to the station. Thank you.
Also, sir, I have another question that during your astronaut training, have you ever had a thought like this? My physics textbook didn't warn me about this thing.
Actually, most of the times I had the thought that my physics textbooks did warn me about this. I was not paying attention. So that was the catch.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes.
Hello, sir. This is Tejashwini Sharma. I wanted to ask, how are you as a student?
Where,
Like,
where are
in
you? Where are you?
Sir, to the left.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Hello, sir. This is Tejashwini Sharma. I'm from standard 11th. I wanted to know, how are you as a student? Like in standard 11th or 12th, what kept you going? Because studying is very frustrating right now.
If you ask me, I was an exceptional student. You have to ask my teachers how I was, it would be a different thing. No, I totally understand. It is, I really did not understand of why we are studying things when I was your age. And I think that is a challenge. I have understood, I have realized that now, I understand it. When you connect things with something that is happening in the real world, that is the time that switch happens. It becomes interesting. You start enjoying this. And also, why are you studying today? You have to ask yourself that. What is your purpose? That is what I was trying to tell you. You are all capable students, very brilliant, extremely sharp. You are going to change the country in the future. And you are going to realize that at some point of time. I would hope and wish that you can realize that now, today, sitting in the classroom. If you do, you will start looking at everything in a very different perspective. That there is a purpose behind this. There is a reason why you are doing this. It is not just about learning that chapter. Learning that chapter arms you with knowledge that you are going to use to do something tomorrow. That is where the shift happens. So I know it is frustrating. I have been frustrated too when I was sitting there. But if I can tell you one thing, have faith, have belief. It will all work out. And you have to work hard. There is no substitute for that. Thank you.
So were you a student who was always on the field or always in the classroom? Or did you manage both of them?
I think I was pretty okay with balancing things from very beginning. And I think both are required. Both are essential. So I think you should balance. Do go out on field. That is very important. But pay attention in the classroom as well. Thank you.